Little House on the Prairie first arrived on our screens in 1974 and instantly swept audiences into the wide-open beauty and relentless hardships of 19th-century Minnesota. Week after week, families gathered around flickering television sets to witness Charles Ingalls fighting dust storms and financial ruin, to marvel at Caroline's gentle steadfastness, and to cheer for young Laura as she forged her own path. The series did more than entertain, it became a mirror for our own resilience, a reminder that love and courage can flourish even in the most unforgiving soil. Ratings soared, awards followed, and soon Little House stood not only as a television triumph but as a defining cultural touchstone. Behind the comforting warmth of Prairie hearths, however, lay stories that few dared to tell. Rumors circulated of bitter rivalries among cast members who fought for spotlight and respect, of secret health struggles kept from fans, and of personal tragedies hidden from the glow of studio lights. The very actors who brought hope and family bonds to life grappled with demons of their own, storms that rivaled any gale on the Great Plains. Friendships fractured when ambition collided with loyalty, and whispers of scandal trailed some performers long after their final curtain call. As the series pressed on for 9 unforgettable seasons, its success only deepened the chasm between on-screen harmony and off-screen turmoil. Viewers tuned in week after week to follow the Ingalls family, yet few knew that for some actors the pressures of fame and the demands of relentless shooting schedules led to exhaustion, broken relationships, and in some tragic cases, battles with illness that ended all too soon. Behind every warm embrace and tearful goodbye lay the private battles of talented individuals whose lives were far more complicated than any frontier saga. Now, decades after those pioneer wagons rolled away from prime time, we pause to remember the gifted souls who are no longer with us. We will honor their artistry by peeling back the curtain on achievements that dazzled, controversies that shocked, and personal struggles that were never meant for the public eye. We will explore the little-known anecdotes and haunting scandals that add unexpected depth to characters we thought we knew so well. From the actor who navigated a quiet descent into obscurity after a meteoric rise, to the performer whose health crisis was hidden behind late-night shoots and closed-set whispers, each story will reveal humanity in its most raw and compelling form. What are these actors doing now, beyond the glare of studio lights and the echoes of applause? Which stars burned too brightly and vanished before their time, and which found redemption in new creative endeavors? In the episodes that follow, we will answer these questions one life at a time, weaving a tapestry of triumph and tragedy that does justice to their legacies. If you grew up feeling the pull of Prairie winds on your Michael Landon, 1936 to 1991. Eugene Maurice Horowitz was born on October 31, 1936, in a cramped New York apartment where his parents worked long hours in the garment district. Bullied at school for his small stature and desperate to escape, he reinvented himself as Michael Landon and pursued all the attention Hollywood could offer. By the time NBC offered him the role of Charles Ingalls in 1973, he was a seasoned 37-year-old, twice divorced, haunted by childhood neglect, and driven by the fear that success would elude him. On the windy Prairie set, Landon poured Charles's weary strength into the world. He carved every difficult line into his father's face, channeling his own scars, rumors of secret treatments for depression, whispers of late-night drinking to dispel doubts, into performances as nuanced as gospel. His directing of the main episodes went into raw territory. He insisted on unscripted tears from his co-stars, staged scenes in bitter cold to capture genuine shivers, and clashed violently with network censors over avant-garde plotlines he felt were too saccharine. Off-camera, Landon's ambition dictated his every breath. He was a single parent and a crew leader at dawn, refusing to rest when pancreatic cancer began to sap his strength. Insiders spoke of secret fights with producers over budget and tone, of secret love affairs hidden beneath the veneer of a family man reputation, and of a relentless perfectionism that left him exhausted. When he finally succumbed on July 1, 1991, at the age of 54, it felt as if the Prairie wind itself had died, leaving behind an echo of a man who lived for every applause but feared he would never be enough. Victor French, 1934 to 1989. Victor French entered the world on December 4, 1934, in Santa Barbara, California, the son of a vaudeville clown father and an aspiring actress mother. He spent his childhood amidst the swirl of show business, absorbing the grit and glamour that defined early Hollywood. By the time Little House on the Prairie cast its net for guest stars, French was 40, a seasoned character actor whose credits included The High Chaparral and Gunsmoke. Producers saw in him the perfect embodiment of community spirit and rugged determination, qualities that would infuse his portrayal of Isaiah Edwards with authenticity. When French first stepped onto the Walnut Grove set in 1975, he brought with him a deep well of life experience. Isaiah Edwards was introduced as a no-nonsense handyman with a heart of gold. Audiences responded immediately to French's natural ease and understated power. His ability to convey warmth through the simplest gestures, mending a fence, dispensing hard-earned wisdom, elevated every scene he graced. Critics lauded his performance as the kind that anchors a drama, and fans wrote letters begging for his return after each guest arc. Off-camera, French was admired for his generous spirit. He forged close bonds with Michael Landon, becoming not just a co-star but a creative partner, often offering story ideas drawn from his own childhood memories of resilience. Yet beneath the affable exterior lay struggles few knew. French battled heart problems throughout the 1980s and endured a painful divorce that left him questioning his path. Rumors whispered of on-set tensions when his health forced breaks from filming, but colleagues remembered a man whose professionalism never wavered, even when fatigue threatened his trademark energy. French's career after Little House peaked with a recurring role on Highway to Heaven, where he reunited with his old friend Landon. The series showcased his comedic timing and dramatic depth, but the long hours took a toll on his fragile heart. On June 15, 1989, at 54, Victor French suffered a massive heart attack and passed away, sending shockwaves through Hollywood and among viewers who had welcomed him into their homes each week. His death underscored the physical cost of a life dedicated to storytelling and left a void in the lives of fans and friends alike. Though gone, French's legacy endures in the gentle authority he brought to Isaiah Edwards, reminding us that true strength often speaks in quiet acts of kindness. Kevin Hagen, 1928–2005. Kevin Hagen was born on December 3, 1928, in Chicago to a family far removed from show business. His upbringing was grounded in Midwestern values and the steady rhythms of small-town life, yet a scholarship to a drama program in California ignited a passion for the stage he could not ignore. By the time Little House on the Prairie began casting supporting roles, Hagen was in his mid-40s, a classically trained actor whose resume spanned Shakespearean theatre and guest spots on numerous television dramas. When he first donned the coat of Dr. Hiram Baker in 1974, Hagen brought a warm authority that made the town physician feel as real as any neighbor. His gentle demeanor and empathetic presence provided a vital counterpoint to the Ingalls family's struggles, giving viewers comfort in moments of sickness and heartbreak. Audiences grew to trust him as much off-screen as on, sending letters of gratitude for a man whose calm voice carried healing hope into their living rooms. Critics praised Hagen's ability to convey deep compassion with a single look, elevating what might have been a minor role into a pillar of the series' emotional heart. Behind the scenes, Hagen's life mirrored the stoicism of his character. Colleagues recall a man who treated every cast and crew member with equal respect, arriving early each day in the trailers to discuss script details and medical accuracy. Yet even this dedicated professionalism could not shield him from personal trials. In the early 1980s, Hagen quietly battled diabetes, a condition he kept largely private to avoid burdening friends. Rumors surfaced of on-set fatigue and occasional absences, but never of diminished talent. He managed to persevere through grueling shooting schedules, often consulting medical texts to lend authenticity to his character's bedside manner. After Little House concluded in 1983, Hagen continued to work steadily, appearing in television movies and series guest roles. His career never reached the heights of his Prairie days, but he found fulfillment in mentoring younger actors and lecturing at acting workshops. In private, he and his wife of nearly 4 decades weathered the loss of their only child, a tragedy that shook him deeply but never dimmed his dedication to bringing warmth and hope to the screen. On July 9, 2005, Kevin Hagen passed away at the age of 76 from complications related to kidney failure. His death prompted an outpouring of condolences from fans who remembered Dr. Baker not just as a character but as a symbol of gentle strength and unwavering care. Hagen's legacy endures in every doctor's reassuring word and every tender moment of Little House on the Prairie, reminding us that true healing often begins with simple kindness. Katherine MacGregor, 1925–2018. Katherine MacGregor entered the world on January 12, 1925, in Glendale, California, the daughter of a real estate agent and a stenographer. Raised during the Great Depression, she discovered early on that escapism came through performance, honing her craft in community theater before earning bit parts on the silver screen. When the producers of Little House on the Prairie sought a character to stir the calm waters of Walnut Grove, MacGregor, already 49, stepped forward with a sly glint that would redefine TV villainy. As Harriet Olsen, the sharp-tongued, bonnet-wearing shopkeeper, MacGregor found a role that resonated far beyond her modest resume. Injecting every scene with a delicious blend of savvy humor and petty indignation, she transformed a one-note caricature into the beating heart of frontier gossip. Viewers reveled in her community's whispered scoldings and covert alliances, and episodes often climaxed with Harriet's explosive tantrums, a testament to MacGregor's fearless commitment. Critics lauded her ability to balance comedy and cruelty, noting that beneath the character's veneer lay a woman fiercely protective of her social standing and determined to carve out material success on the prairie. Off-camera, MacGregor's life was marked by contrasts. She maintained a quiet marriage to director Burt Remsen, yet whispers circulated of clashes on set, stories of MacGregor pushing for more dramatic Harriet moments, and Michael Landon resisting anything that upstaged the Ingalls family's moral center. Behind closed doors, she grappled with lingering resentments from early career disappointments, and some colleagues recalled late-night arguments over script changes. Still, those conflicts fueled her art. It was said that MacGregor drew upon real-life bitterness to fuel Harriet's most cutting barbs. After Little House ended in 1983, MacGregor retreated from mainstream acting, pursuing her lifelong passion for Zen Buddhism and occasionally teaching acting workshops infused with her spiritual practice. Though she never sought the spotlight again, invitations to fan conventions revealed the deep affection audiences held for her. In private, she admitted feeling trapped by Harriet's shadow, grateful for the acclaim yet haunted by typecasting that closed other doors. On November 13, 2018, at the age of 93, Katherine MacGregor passed away peacefully in her Los Angeles home. Fans mourned not simply the loss of a memorable antagonist but the passing of an artist who dared to make us love to hate her. In every hissed insult and every curt dismissal, she reminded us how a single performer's bold choices can echo through decades of television history. Dabbs Grier, 1917–2007. Born Homa Elliott Dabbs Grier on April 2, 1917, in Fairview, Missouri, he grew up enveloped by small-town values and Midwestern resilience. Raised by hardworking parents during the Great Depression, Grier discovered a passion for performance in high school theater, even as he balanced part-time jobs at a local newspaper. His journey to Hollywood was winding. After serving as a medic in World War II, he pursued drama studies on the GI Bill, then carved out a name for himself in radio before landing bit parts in feature films. When Little House on the Prairie began casting for the role of Reverend Alden in 1974, Grier was 57 and had already amassed hundreds of television credits, from Gunsmoke to The Twilight Zone. Producers welcomed his calm gravitas, and Grier stepped into the gentle pastor's shoes with effortless grace. As Rev. Alden, he became the moral compass of Walnut Grove, delivering sermons that resonated with authenticity because Grier had lived through the very hardships his character spoke of. Audiences found solace in his soothing cadence. Critics praised his ability to convey deep empathy with a simple, measured tone. Off-camera, Grier was known for his quiet generosity. He mentored younger cast members, sharing stories of early Hollywood struggles and reminding them that fame was fleeting. Yet behind the benevolent veneer lay sorrows he rarely spoke of. Grier never married or had children, and colleagues whispered that a wartime romance ended in tragedy, leaving him with a lifelong ache he channeled into his work. His dedication sometimes clashed with the grueling pace of weekly television. When health issues flared, he resisted time off, afraid that his absence might be seen as weakness. After Little House concluded in 1983, Greer continued to work steadily across film and television, most notably in The Green Mile, where he portrayed the eccentric Wild Bill. Fans delighted at his quiet comeback, yet whispers lingered about illness slowing him down on set. Finally, on April 28, 2007, at 90, Dabs Greer passed away from natural causes. His death prompted a wave of gratitude from colleagues and viewers who had come to see Reverend Alden as an emblem of unwavering faith and compassion. In every gentle nod and every heartfelt prayer, Greer reminded us that true strength often resides in quiet conviction. His legacy endures in the prayers he spoke on screen and in the countless lives he touched off camera. Harsha Prairie, 1945–2023. Harsha Prairie was born Betty Sanhoff on November 27, 1945, in Prairie, Iowa, the daughter of a schoolteacher mother and a traveling salesman father. Growing up in the heartland, she cultivated a natural warmth and an ability to listen, qualities that would later define her acting. In her late 20s, Prairie moved to Los Angeles to pursue her passion for performance, studying at local theater workshops and earning small television roles. By the time Little House on the Prairie cast its net for guest stars, she was approaching 30, carrying with her Midwestern authenticity that resonated deeply with the show's pioneer spirit. Introduced as Alice Garvey in Season 4, Prairie transformed a character initially written as a sympathetic neighbor into one of the series' most complex figures. Her scenes with the Ingalls family crackled with emotional honesty, capturing both the tenderness of a community woven together and the undercurrents of grief she faced after her on-screen husband's tragic death. Audiences were moved by the raw vulnerability she brought to every moment, yet behind the scenes Prairie carried her own burdens. She navigated early marriage struggles and whispered tensions with showrunners who feared her storyline would darken the series' wholesome image. Prairie refused to soften the pain, believing that genuine sorrow could deepen the show's impact. After her initial arc concluded, Prairie returned for guest appearances, each time layering new shades onto Alice Garvey. Yet as her television career blossomed, she faced personal storms. A serious car accident in the early 1980s left her with chronic pain and prompted rumors of on-set difficulties that she attributed to lingering injuries. Instead of retreating, she channeled her resilience into theater work, earning praise on regional stages but remaining forever linked to the Prairie. Prairie's decision to step away from Hollywood at the height of her recognition raised eyebrows. Some speculated she found the industry's compromises too harsh, others believed her longing for a quieter life drove her retreat back to Iowa, where she taught acting to local students. On June 23, 2023, Harsha Prairie passed away at the age of 77, her final years spent mentoring young performers and sharing stories of pioneer life both real and imagined. Her departure left fans reflecting on the depth she brought to Alice Garvey, a reminder that even in the most idyllic tales, sorrow and courage walk hand in hand. Merlin Olsen, 1938–2010. Merlin Olsen arrived in the world on September 15, 1938, in Logan, Utah, the son of a meatpacker father and a schoolteacher mother. Tall and commanding from an early age, he rose to fame as a Hall of Fame defensive tackle with the Los Angeles Rams before Hollywood beckoned. At 35, with a successful football career behind him, Olsen brought his physical presence and genuine humility to the role of Jonathan Garvey when Little House on the Prairie began filming in 1974. Jonathan Garvey was introduced as the rugged young man who roamed the Minnesota plains, offering muscle and heart in equal measure. Olsen imbued the character with warmth that belied his athletic background, portraying a man who could wrestle a stubborn steer one moment and tenderly court his bride the next. Viewers were drawn to Olsen's easy smile and heartfelt sincerity, and critics noted that his raw authenticity grounded many of the show's most stirring moments. Off-camera, Olsen's life mirrored that blend of strength and kindness. He remained close to his 8 brothers and sisters, often inviting them to visit the set and sharing stories of their Utah upbringing. Yet fame came with its own challenges. Whispers circulated about the pressure Olsen felt to prove his acting chops beyond his football legacy, and friends recall his frustration when producers sidelined Jonathan in later seasons in favor of younger storylines. Despite these slights, Olsen's professionalism never wavered. He continued to mentor cast and crew, quietly encouraging Joshua McCord and other guest actors to find depth in their performances. After the series concluded, Olsen parlayed his fame into a successful broadcasting career, covering NFL games with the same insightful eye he once used to read opposing quarterbacks. He also co-starred in several television and film projects, though none matched the cultural impact of Walnut Grove. Throughout, he remained an outspoken advocate for children's charities and cancer research, inspired by his own battle with prostate cancer diagnosed in the late 1990s. On March 11, 2010, at the age of 71, Merlin Olsen passed away after a long fight with cancer. His death prompted a flood of tributes from sports fans and Little House devotees alike, each recalling the genuine warmth he brought both to the gridiron and the prairie. Olsen's legacy endures in every tender scene of Jonathan Garvey, reminding us that true heroism lies in the grace with which one carries both triumph and adversity. Richard Boole, 1924–2014. Richard Boole was born on February 19, 1924, in Zion, Illinois, the son of a steelworker father and a schoolteacher mother. Growing up amid the frugality of Midwestern life during the Great Depression, he developed a strong work ethic and a fierce loyalty to family, traits that would later infuse his most memorable role. After serving in World War II, Boole studied at the Goodman School of Drama in Chicago before carving out a steady career as a character actor in New York theater and Hollywood television guest spots. When Little House on the Prairie began casting for the imperious yet endearing Nels Olsen, Boole was 51, seasoned by decades of stage and screen work. He stepped into the well-polished shoes of Walnut Grove's aristocratic businessman with effortless grace, portraying a man whose prim exterior concealed deep familial devotion. Boole's calm restraint and subtle humor made Nels both formidable and relatable. Viewers saw in him a father whose concern for social standing was matched equally by his love for his wife and children. Off-camera, Boole was beloved for his gentlemanly demeanor and quiet generosity. He forged a genuine friendship with Katherine MacGregor, whose Harriet Olsen often sparred with his own character. In private, they shared laughter and stories that revealed mutual respect despite their on-screen barbs. Yet behind Boole's genteel smile lay personal challenges. He endured the lingering pain of a painful divorce and quietly battled age-related health issues, including a heart condition that he managed discreetly to avoid disrupting the show's demanding shooting schedule. After the series concluded in 1983, Boole continued acting in films and television, though none of his later roles matched the cultural imprint of Nels Olsen. He found solace in community theater in Burbank, California, where he mentored young actors, sharing lessons forged from decades in the industry. In private, he remained a devoted father and grandfather, cherishing the stability of family life that had eluded his own childhood. On February 3, 2014, at the age of 89, Richard Boole passed away from complications of sudden heart failure. Fans and colleagues mourned the loss of the dignified patriarch who had long stood as the moral center of Walnut Grove. In every measured glance and every wry smile, Boole reminded us that true strength often lies in gentle conviction. Mary Jackson, 1910–2005. Mary Jackson entered the world on November 22, 1910, in Fort Collins, Colorado, the daughter of a ranch hand and a schoolteacher. Raised amid the wide-open spaces of the West, she developed a resilient spirit and a love for storytelling that carried her from local theater troupes to Hollywood bit parts. By the time Little House on the Prairie was casting its later seasons, Jackson was in her mid-60s, a veteran character actress whose credits spanned radio dramas, early talkies, and television anthologies. In 1977, at age 66, Jackson joined the cast in the memorable role of Mrs. Shore, a kindly neighbor whose stoic exterior concealed a lifetime of hardship. Though her screen time was brief, she left an indelible mark with a single tearful scene beside the Ingalls family as they endured a crushing prairie blizzard. Critics praised her economy of emotion, how a quivering lip and a steady gaze could speak volumes about a pioneer's will to survive. Fans wrote in to marvel at the authenticity she brought, unaware that Jackson herself had weathered personal storms off camera, a painful widowhood that claimed her husband in 1952 and a decades-long struggle to support two children through the vagaries of show business. Jackson's path to Little House was paved by chance encounters rather than auditions. A casting assistant, impressed by her performance in a televised Western anthology, recommended her for the role when the series sought an older female guest star to deepen an episode's emotional core. On set, younger cast members describe her as both motherly and fiercely professional. She would quietly correct dialogue flubs with a whispered suggestion, then retreat into the shadows with the humility of someone accustomed to supporting roles. Yet beneath her gentle mentorship lay a steely pride. Jackson refused to soften her portrayal for the sake of television prettiness, insisting that pioneer women wore weathered faces as badges of their endurance. After Little House wrapped her guest arc, Jackson returned to regional theater and occasional TV appearances, though she never sought the spotlight again. She spent her later years in Ventura, California, volunteering at a community center and teaching acting workshops to senior citizens. In private, she wrestled with regrets over parts she'd turned down early in her career, fearing they would typecast her or compromise her personal values. Still, she remained fiercely protective of her late husband's memory, often declining interviews that dwelled on her television achievements rather than her family life. On December 10, 2005, at the age of 95, Mary Jackson passed away from natural causes. The news prompted a wave of affectionate remembrances from co-stars who recalled her quiet encouragement and viewers who never forgot the depth she brought to even a single scene. In every fleeting moment on screen, Jackson embodied the unspoken fortitude of pioneer women. Shannon Doherty, 1969 to 2024. Shannon Doherty arrived in Memphis, Tennessee, on April 12, 1969, the daughter of a television news reporter and a homemaker. From a young age she embodied the restless energy of a true performer, landing her first national modeling assignment at age 6 and quickly transitioning to commercials and guest spots on sitcoms. When the producers of Little House on the Prairie sought fresh young talent for the series' final season in 1983, Doherty was just 14 years old. They cast her as Jenny Wilder, the spirited cousin who stirred the tranquil rhythms of Walnut Grove with her curious nature and courageous heart. On set, the teenager faced a crash course in professional acting. Under the watchful eye of veterans like Michael Landon, she honed her craft, learning to evoke both youthful exuberance and poignant vulnerability. Audiences responded to Jenny's blend of mischief and earnest longing, praising Doherty's ability to channel teenage angst into moments of genuine warmth. Yet behind the scenes, she navigated pressures familiar to any young star: late-night shoots that clashed with schoolwork, whispers of on-set rivalries with fellow cast members protective of their established roles, and the internal struggle to maintain a private identity beneath the weight of growing fame. After the final episode aired, Doherty's career gained momentum as she secured roles in films like Heathers and became a household name on teen dramas, most notably Beverly Hills 90210. Her on-screen persona evolved from innocent newcomer to complex leading lady, but off-camera her life was far from scripted perfection. Diagnosed with breast cancer in 2015, Doherty fought public battles with treatment decisions, candidly sharing her journey with fans and sparking controversies with her outspoken critiques of Hollywood's beauty standards. Her advocacy resonated with many, yet some industry insiders bristled at her frankness, and rumors of strained friendships and tense negotiations followed her through the decades. On July 13, 2024, after a 9-year struggle with cancer, Shannon Doherty passed away surrounded by loved ones. She was 55. News of her death prompted an outpouring of grief from colleagues and admirers who remembered the young girl who first captured hearts in Walnut Grove and the resilient woman who became an icon of honesty and courage. In her portrayal of Jenny Wilder, Doherty revealed a fierce spirit and a tender soul, qualities she carried throughout her life and career, leaving an indelible mark on television history. As the sun sets over Walnut Grove, what lingers is more than the gentle melody of fiddle and firelight, it is the enduring testament of those who gave their hearts to this story. Little House on the Prairie was never just a tale of frontier hardship. It was a living tapestry woven by actors who brought unwavering courage, deep compassion, and fierce humor to every scene. Some carried the series into new creative heights, finding fresh success in later roles and ventures beyond television. Others, crowned by their Prairie personas, chose to step away from the spotlight, nurturing new passions in teaching, advocacy, or simply embracing the quiet joy of family life. A few saw their journeys cut short by illness or tragedy, leaving us to wonder what heights their artistry might have reached had fate granted more chapters. Critically, the series itself remains a triumph of storytelling, balancing warmth with unvarnished truth. Its legacy survives in the tears we shed at heartfelt goodbyes, in the laughter sparked by a mischievous peddler or the stern reprimand of a schoolteacher. Yet behind every moment of on-screen comfort lay off-screen battles, health crises endured in silence, personal losses carried privately, creative tensions that fueled both memorable performances and unexpected conflicts. By honoring these actors' full lives, we recognize that greatness is seldom born from ease. It is forged in adversity, carried forward by resilience and the unwavering belief that a single story can touch millions of hearts. Some actors found redemption in roles that echoed their deepest longings, forging new paths in film, stage, or activism. Others discovered that the prairie home they built in our memories was the true pinnacle of their careers, and they chose to rest in the peace it offered. A handful retreated entirely from public life, content to watch their work speak for them. In every case, their choices reflect the delicate balance between ambition and contentment, between the glare of fame and the solace of doing what truly matters. If you have ever felt the hope of a prairie dawn stirring within you, or found comfort in the Ingalls family's quiet strength, then you carry a piece of these actors' spirits with you. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to journey deeper into the untold stories behind the faces you thought you knew. In the episodes ahead, we will reveal the surprising twists and soulful triumphs that unfolded when the cameras stopped rolling, inviting you once more to stand beside the pioneers and discover the true heart of the prairie.